Yo, what's up fanbase, it's your boy Blaze Hollow coming at you again with another What If, and this time I'll bring you What If Deku had All For One Part 10. I was really blown away by how you guys reached the like goal, so I'm going to be giving you a new one. So this time you guys will have to get 400 likes, 100 comments, and 2k views to get Part 11. So with all that said, let's start that intro. 4 years have passed since the court case of the heroes versus the Yakuza, and the world will never understand what they gained from it. As Izuku was waking up from his alarm clock, wishing that he had a few more minutes to sleep, he got up out of bed and opened his door to see his brother Shoto. Opening his door at the same time as they see each other, then look down the hallway to see that the bathroom door was open, as they both then look back at each other. Izuku just smiled back at Shoto. "I'm feeling lucky today." Shoto was bringing up his hand ready to attack. "I think that my reflexes are finally awake right now." Shoto put up a thin wall of ice right in front of Izuku as he tried to make his way to the bathroom, only for Izuku to turn his body into water and slip through the cracks. As he rushed past his brother Shoto, who was about to shoot a small ball of fire at the glob of water, only for Izuku to change his hand back into its solid form to let out a small wind blast, causing Shoto to fall back on his butt. As Izuku was turned back into his normal self, he then was able to get into the bathroom first as he closes and locks the door behind him. "I win today, better luck tomorrow, and if you're lucky, maybe I'll save you some hot water, Shoto." Shoto just groaned as he got back onto his feet. "I'll get you tomorrow, and you better save me some hot water or else I'm going to freeze dry your breakfast." Izuku enjoyed his nice shower, and as he got out, he wiped away the fog on the glass, revealing himself no longer having green hair, but white hair that had a lot of green patches in it, while also growing a few feet and getting a bunch of chisel muscle throughout his body. He then wraps a towel around himself as he opens the door to go to his room. "Shoto, the bathroom's all yours. There should be enough water for 15 minutes of a nice hot steam shower, just the way you like it." Shoto came out of his room as he walked right past his brother. "Thanks for actually leaving me some hot water. I thought you were going to do what Toya does to us on his days off." The both of them just started chuckling thinking about that as they were able to finish getting ready into their school uniforms and went out to the family room to see their father Endeavor enjoying the morning newspaper and their mother Ray putting breakfast on the table for everyone, as their sister Fumi was actually grading some of her students' papers while listening to the morning news. Natsuo was actually looking over his bag supplies for college, making sure he wasn't forgetting anything, as Titan was sitting at the table enjoying his morning cup of orange juice. Izuku smiled as he sat down next to Endeavor. "Morning, Dad. Anything interesting in the newspaper this morning?" Endeavor grinned as he folded the newspaper in half and showed Izuku that Overhaul and him actually made the front page for their thesis on Quirk stabilization and evolution. "It seems that a lot of the medical field is thanking the both of you for so much help on the Quirk stabilizations that you've been able to make for people." Izuku just felt embarrassed thinking that so many people are going to be seeing an image of him and Overhaul on the front page of the newspaper. "Well, it only happened because Overhaul wanted to test the limitations of my quirk and help me with many different types of quirk combinations, and with how many quirks that I could use at once without hurting myself or ending up turning into that monstrous creature again." Shoto gave Izuku a pat on the back like he needs to cheer up. "I remember when you guys started testing things out, and when you started to go out of control and turn into that creature, I ended up having to freeze you solid. That was not a fun day." Izuku just rolled his eyes remembering that day. "You're telling me I couldn't feel my legs for an entire week after you froze me like that?" Ray came out of the kitchen with a plate of bacon and sausages fresh from the stove as she placed them right onto the breakfast table. "Oh, I remember this day. The only reason that Shoto was even able to capture you like that is because your monstrous form got serenaded by Mina's singing." Izuku was blushing as he placed his head down on the table as everybody started to hear the front door opening to reveal Toya in his hero costume and completely exhausted. "If I knew that the stakeout at the abandoned building at the east side of town was going to be a bust, I would have came home around midnight, but no, everybody wanted to stay around seeing if something was going to happen." Ray grabbed onto Toya as she brought him over to the breakfast table and forced him to sit down. "Quit complaining about having to do your job. I remember when your dad used to come home with the same problem, complaining about having to be out all night over nothing. It just happens." Endeavor just laughed as he gave Toya a pat on the back. "Trust me, I understand your frustration. When I was first starting off, I dealt with a lot of those situations." Toya just laid back in the chair feeling like he could fall asleep right there. "I'm just glad I get to see my little brothers before they left for school. Also, I sold the morning newspaper. Izuku just playfully slammed his face on the table like he didn't really want to talk about it. Just got dad off of that topic and here you go bringing it up again. Titan just rolled his eyes, feeling a little bit annoyed about the conversation that he's overhearing. You know, you don't seem me happy about the situation either. The both of you used the genetic research notes that you found at the old abandoned laboratory that you found me in to start your thesis, and you don't give me any credit, but I'm not upset about it whatsoever. Izuku was getting ready to skip breakfast and run to school early, but he knew he wasn't going to be getting away from the situation anytime soon. We've been over this many times before, Titan. I can't give you credit because if people found out that you were made in a laboratory, villain organizations and probably the government will want to dissect you. That's why Overhaul and I want to try to do our own research with the notes that we found, so we also been using our quirks to add into the equation. Yumi started to laugh hearing all this. You know, if I were to look at the both of you from the day that you entered our lives to how you act now, I would not believe that the same people are sitting with us. Titan just looked at her very confused. What do you mean? I don't think that we've changed that much since back then. Yumi almost choked on her coffee because she wasn't expecting an answer like that. Titan, when you first came home, you were completely robotic. You used to follow Izuku everywhere and waiting for orders to do things. It took us a long time to adjust you to normal living. Now you act a little bit more reckless than I want to deal with, but you're still being you. Titan felt a little bit embarrassed as he started to eat his breakfast. Well, if you're going to compare me to back then, why don't you do the same to Izuku since you seem to know us so well? Izuku was enjoying his breakfast until he realized he was about to be ridiculed. Listen, don't drag me underneath the bus with you. Let's just enjoy breakfast and forget about the past. Yumi was actually trying to think about the major differences from the first meeting with Izuku to now. Well, if I was to actually think about it, Izuku always seemed like he was keeping secrets from everyone. He didn't trust anybody around him. Plus, he used to have green hair. But during the 4 years, he seemed to open up to all of us and get the family hair color. Lately, he's been a lot more serious and hesitant about hanging out with the people that he really cares about. Hoping that the more playful version of you starts to show his face again because I'm getting worried about how you're acting lately. Izuku just let out a deep sigh. Sorry if I'm worrying you, sis. I just got a lot of things on my mind right now, so I can't let people get too close to me. Shoto was finished with his breakfast as he stood up and placed his dishes in the sink and grabbed his book bag. And the both of you hurry up or else I'm going to leave you behind. I don't plan on getting detention on the last day if we're late. Shoto actually started to walk out the door, causing Izuku and Titan to finish up their breakfast and grab their book bags and chase after him, only for them to slip on a thing of thin ice as they tumbled onto the sidewalk. As Shoto couldn't help but laugh as he used his flames to melt the thing of ice in front of the door. Come on guys, you know that I would never leave you behind. Number one rule of dad's training is never let your guard down and expect the unexpected. Titan got up as he placed his hand out to Shoto. You know what? That's fair. I think it's worthy of a handshake for a good prank. Shoto smiled as he shook Titan's hand only to get burned a little bit as he jerked his hand away. Ow, I know that you're upset, but it doesn't mean you have to go right away to burning my hand off. Titan started to laugh as Shoto was grinning. As the both of them looked over at Izuku, they realized he wasn't there. They look around to see that he's already walked halfway down the block as they go chasing after him. After about 15 minutes of walking, they arrive at the station actually to see a massive crowd wondering what's going on. As they see a villain with a gigantification quirk trying to stop all the trains from leaving the station, while Kamui Woods trying to capture him, only for Mallory to come through with a massive kick. What she didn't plan on doing was destroying most of the bridge that the train station was connected to with her heel. She started to freak out as she landed, seeing all the citizens freak out in terror, only for all of the debris to stop moving in midair and start reforming the bridge as the mysterious figure was showing he was controlling the matter himself. Now lady, you have to be more careful when you're stomping around here. You don't know what you're going to end up destroying by accident. And as for you, Kamui Woods, instead of showing off for the cameras, maybe you would focus a lot more on your job. Kamui Woods was completely annoyed by the comment. What are you talking about? I was actually doing my job trying to capture the villain. It was Mount Lady who actually destroyed the bridge. Mount Lady then shrunk down to her human size as she went over to the both of them. Hey, it's not like I did it on purpose, Overhaul. Not all of us can be perfectionists like you. Overhaul was putting his glove back on as soon as he finished putting back together the entire bridge along with the train tracks. And that's why I rose through the ranks and became the new number 3 seed and you dropped down to number 10, Kamui Woods. He then glared at Mount Lady. And as for you, maybe if you took your job a little bit more seriously instead of treating it like some little fashion show, we would get something done and this wouldn't have happened. If you want to be a fashion model, go do that, but if you want to be a hero, take your job more serious. Police then arrived with chronostasis as they got the villain into the armored car, trying to make sure that they inspect the property damage and seeing if anybody else was hurt. Seeing that there wasn't much damage, they then were getting ready to leave as chronostasis overheard the conversation between Overhaul and the other heroes, seeing that they weren't pleased with his critiques. Chronostasis then walked over trying to see if he could de-escalate de-escalate the situation. Overhaul, you can't expect everybody to understand what it means to work efficiently. Sometimes living it up for the cameras can be good for public morale. Mount Lady felt like she deserved an apology from Overhaul for how he was acting towards her. Listen, Overhaul, just because you became the number 3 seed within 4 years doesn't mean you get to look down on everybody. I feel like you owe me an apology. Kamui Woods didn't care about any of that as he actually got up in Overhaul's face. You know, being a former villain, you would think that you'd be a lot more humble about your new position, but it seems that your arrogance and pride just went through the roof over these past couple of years. Chronostasis actually grabs Kamui Woods and pushes him away from Overhaul, making sure he doesn't do anything he might regret. I'm actually going to respond to both of you for him. I'll start with you, Mount Lady. Your performance these past few months as a new pro hero has actually been laughable. You pose for the camera and steal fame and glory from heroes who've been fighting for hours or even minutes just so you can get that one shot at fame. Because of that mentality, you actually destroyed a bridge. If it wasn't for Overhaul, a bunch of people would have been crushed or seriously injured. You need to seriously think about this because you're very reckless out on the battlefield. He then poked his finger right on Kamui Wood's chest. The fact that you actually bring up he's a former villain and he does your job better than you maybe says that you should be sent back to the academy. Never look down on somebody for where they came from because it only shows how far away you are from being a true hero. Because if I had the power to, I would actually be slapping the cuffs on both of you for your actions today. Overhaul puts his hand on Chronostasis' shoulder like you want him to stop. That's enough. You don't have to prove anything to either of them. We have work to do. You should head back to the police station so you can interrogate that villain. I'm going to finish my patrol and then head back to my office so I can finish the paperwork that I'm going to be getting for this. Chronostasis and Overhaul leave so they can go do their jobs, leaving a very upset Kamui Woods and Mount Lady. As we cut back to Izuku and his brothers arriving at school through the front gate, wishing that they could have gotten to speak with Overhaul and Chronostasis before they left, but they couldn't make it through the crowd in time as they finally made it to their classroom as they sat down at their desk by the window. Noto just seemed to be annoyed about something. I don't know about you guys, but every time I see a hero get upset because Chronostasis and Overhaul do their job better than them and then they throw it in their face that their former villain just makes me so angry. Titan was just nodding his head as he agreed with everything Shoto just said. Yeah, it's not fair. A lot of people still look down on them. You know, when Rappa became the gym teacher for UA, a lot of the former staff actually were against it. I'll never forget about the headlines that we saw the next day. Izuku just pulled out a notebook and started writing stuff down. I think that's the main reason why Mimic went to go work out in the country with the miners so he can use his quirk against cave-ins and collapse. As the entire class was starting to fill up, a teen with ashy blonde hair actually walked right up to Izuku with a very annoyed look on his face. Hey Deku, get the hell out of my spot before I throw you out of it. Izuku started to chuckle as he stood up, looking the guy right in the eyes. Why don't you make me, Bakugo, or I could just carve your face into the chalkboard just like last month. I'll start an explosion and I'll blow it out like a candle, rinse and repeat. Oh, why do we continue to do this to ourselves? Bakugo got extremely annoyed and angry, but was committed to get everything started as he got ready to set off an explosion. Do you want to repeat that? Villains like you shouldn't be talking down to heroes like me. Izuku had a stupid look on his face as he put his hand above his eyes trying to get a better look around the classroom. I don't see any villains and I definitely don't see any heroes, so unless you have a better perspective from behind me, you might want to check your phrasing. Bakugo finally had enough as he set off an explosion right in Izuku's face. What are you talking about? I'm better than you in everything in every way. The only reason that you're powerful is because you've taken from those who were gifted. I only will see you as the quirkless loser you are. Izuku stood there like the explosion never happened. His face was clean, no burn marks or scorch marks anywhere. As he winds up and punches Bakugo across the face, launching his entire body to the front of the classroom, his face then slams right into the chalkboard. I warned you not to push me or try to do anything stupid, but you never listen. Before you try to pull the hole I went overboard, it's called self-defense. The teachers will be on my side because I actually know how the school laws work. A girl with green hair and pale skin walks into the classroom seeming to be annoyed as she sees the aftermath of Bakugo and Izuku's fight as she places her stuff down on her desk and looks back at Izuku. I see your ability to hold back hasn't changed. Just like your predecessor, you're both nothing but trouble. Izuku was annoyed, not wanting to hear what his former sister had to say about anything. I would really like it if you didn't throw shade on my predecessor, Hana. It's not like yours is any better. Hana started to stare daggers at Izuku as desks started to levitate all around the classroom. I'm only going to tell you this once. Watch your mouth when you're speaking ill about my father again, or else I'm going to send you through the glass window behind you. Your kind should have been wiped out a long time ago. It's only because you know how to play the system and manipulate people around you that you're still alive today, all for one. Izuku just let out a deep sigh as he touched the plaster wall behind him that was between the two window panes as it started to turn into gold, making tendrils behind him. If you truly plan to fight me, you should know that you're not strong enough yet. So if I were you, I would just put the desk down, get ready for class, and behave like a good little girl. To everyone in the room, it it looked like Izuku and Hana were getting ready to kill each other over a story that could go back to the beginning of time. No one wanted to say anything, risk getting caught in the crossfire, all except for one noise that stopped the entire bloodbath from happening. School bell rang as the teacher walked into the classroom, motioning his hand for everybody to stop what they were doing as Izuku and Hana put the classroom back together and stopped their quirks and sat down. The teacher looked around, not completely surprised about the situation. As he soon saw everyone taking their seats, he got class started. You would think that the top-ranking students in school would actually be a lot better behaved, but I disagree. No point in getting on your cases, kids, because of the last day at school. The room was still silent, but it also seemed divided as the center members of the class seemed to want to stay close to Izuku's group by the window. Others actually stayed by the door next to Hana and Bakugo as the teacher could sense the tension in the room, only to notice one person raising their hand, which was Titan. Aren't you supposed to be giving out some kind of test today so high schools can actually pick which one of us they want easier? So let's get this over with already. We have a lot more important things to get done today. Izuku put his right hand on Titan's shoulder. Calm down. I know you don't like the school system, but it doesn't mean you have to take it out on our teacher. The teacher called, breaking the conversation between the both of them. I appreciate you bringing that up, Titan, but I think we shouldn't bother with it because I know most of you want to go into the hero course. Especially you. Your power gives you quite the advantage along with most of the elites in this classroom. Bakugo jumped onto his desk as he started to let out small explosions. No, teach, don't lump me in with these losers. We have a couple of villains and D-list heroes. There only is one person who is worthy of going to UA with me, and that's Hana. Teacher opened a laptop that he had on his desk as he pulled up the information about Bakugo and Hana. Oh yes, Bakugo sitting at the number 5 seed in test scores along with Hana sitting at number 2. I can understand why the both of you are very confident about getting into UA with these scores. Izuku just started to snicker. Would you mind telling everybody who sits at the number 1 seed along with the number 3 and 4? I would really appreciate it. Teacher humored the request, didn't see any harm in it. As soon as he typed it into the computer, he realized why he was being asked this as he looked back at Izuku. Do I really have to answer that question? Shoto finally decided to get involved because he was quite entertained from what was happening so far with everything. What's the problem? You didn't seem to have an issue telling Bakugo and Hana's placement on the test score, so why did the other seats matter? Teacher knew that the next couple of words that were about to come out of his mouth were going to cause major issues. Fine, sitting at the number 4 seed is Titan Todoroki. The only reason that he actually ranks above Bakugo in test results is because he does better in athletic testing than Bakugo with or without his quirk. Sitting at the number 3 seed is Shoto Todoroki, who actually has equal test scores with number 2, but the only reason that he actually sits right below Hana is because he refuses to do athletic testing. Teacher started to bite on his lower lip, not really wanting to say who was sitting at the number 1 seed, but he knew if he didn't say anything he would be showing bias. And sitting at the number 1 seed with a perfect score in academics and athletic testing while also being a part of the school council, our very own Izuku Todoroki. Class seemed like it was getting ready to fight one another, like it was a completely different faction against another. Bakugo jumped off of his desk ready to lunge at Izuku, only to be stopped midair by Hana's telekinesis, while Izuku put both of his arms out, stopping Shoto and Titan from attacking. I told the both of you that there's a time and a place for it, and it seems that their faction leader believes that this is not the place, so I will say that we keep the peace as best possible. Hana grinned to herself as she just glared daggers. I'll say that this is a very rare occurrence that I agree with you. This place is definitely not the right battleground for us. As if a miracle of God, the school bell rang, issuing that the class was over as everyone grabbed their things and left. Skip forward a few hours as the Todoroki siblings decided to actually walk home instead of taking the train as usual. While they were going through an underpass, Izuku stopped walking, allowing both of his brothers to take a few steps ahead of them as they stopped looking back at him. Shoto started to look around as he was actually annoyed. Did you sense something? Are we being followed again like usual? Titan got serious as steam started to come off of him a little bit. Are we in for a fight? I'm ready. Izuku put a finger to his lips, telling both of them to be silent. It's not going to be a fight, at least not when I'm done with him. Before anything else could be said, a manhole cover shot up into the air right between the three boys. A large sludge-like creature came out, looking right into Izuku's eyes, pleased with himself. Well, if it isn't my lucky day, not only will I get a proper host out of this, but I'll also get the face of the strongest person alive. So I'll make this quick and painless all for one. I wish we could have met under better circumstances, but I forgot that he was in town. Izuku looked down at the sewer, realizing who was coming as he rolled his eyes and then looked right back at the sludge villain. You can try and take my body, but you will fail. I've actually looked into your record ever since you became an up-and-coming villain. You have caused 30 deaths, 60 people to be brutally maimed and sent to the hospital in critical condition with 30 unsolved cases of disappearance. You've been a very busy person telling by how your quirk works. I can see why. It will be useful to the person I plan to give it to help out Hero Society. Sludge villain just started to chuckle in amusement as the sludge started to surround Izuku's body. Don't act tough just because you have two lackeys with you. I know that you're trying to keep your villain profile on the down low for these past 4 years. Trying to buy everybody's trust just until you can pounce on it. Who do you really think you're fooling with this act? Izuku started to chuckle himself, seeing that the sludge did not go over his face. I'm not trying to fool anyone. You're thinking of my predecessor in the wrong way. He was a victim, and I will make up for his mistakes that he was forced to make. Johto seemed to be annoyed, realizing that the villain was nothing but talk. How long are you two planning on continuing this little back and forth? You know that mom is making udon tonight, and I want to make sure that we're home when it first comes onto the dinner table. Titan was angry, seeing that the sludge creature was wrapping itself around Izuku. God damn it, why do all the villains automatically attack you? You know we're just as powerful. I wish that he would have attacked me instead so I could at least have some fun instead of sitting here on the sideline. Izuku realized that his brothers were not happy with the situation and decided to end it quickly by stealing his quirk. As the villain started to form into a solid mass, he sees that he was only wearing a pair of blue jeans and had a bald head. So that's what you look like underneath all that sludge. Too bad you'll never get to use it again. The sludge villain was completely surprised, trying to activate his quirk, only realizing that it was gone, so he started to run for his life as somebody uppercutted him from underneath the sewer hole. That he passed as the figure came out of the darkness, revealing himself to be All Might, who wasn't very happy with what he just seen and heard about. I don't believe that it was necessary for you to take this person's quirk. Now do the right thing and give it back, all for one. Izuku just walked past All Might as he patted his brothers on the shoulder for them to follow him. I don't have anything to say to you. Why don't you just move along and take the villain to jail? Once you read his record, you'll see that I was within the right to do so. All Might was angry with the way that Izuku was speaking to him as he quickly grabbed onto the boy's shoulder with a tight grip. What I just said wasn't a request, it was an order. Remember that I still have more authority than you do. Titan got excited as he decided to punch All Might across the face, sending him into the wall of the underpass. I would prefer if you kept your hands off of Izuku right now. Johto was annoyed, realizing that this was going to take a lot longer than he wanted it to. With a quick glance, he saw that the villain was trying to get away as he stepped down on the ground, making a freeze over the villain's waist so he couldn't get away. Great, now we have to deal with All Might trying to capture us and take us down to the police station again. Could we try to run away or just knock them out, or would we just pray that our allies are nearby? Izuku just thought about it for a second. I say we just continue walking home. If he tries to attack us, we defend ourselves. If he decides to do his job, he will arrest the villain and just let us go easy. All Might was starting to get up as he wiped his mouth, seeing that there was a little bit of blood on his gloves. Lucky shot, kid. Too bad you're on the wrong side. Titan just decided to roll his eyes at All Might. Luck had nothing to do with it. You just underestimated my strength, so you let me hit you, expecting me to get hurt on you, only for it to blow up in your face. Could easily tell that you were tracking my movements as you looked over at me for a second and then back at my brother. All Might was a little bit impressed by the kid's deductive skills. You really do have promise, but it's too bad I had to bring you in now for attacking a pro hero for no good reason. They then see All Might pulling out a pair of handcuffs, ready to bring Titan in, only for a pillar of fire to be shot out of nowhere, making a 5-inch gap in between the boys and All Might. Everyone then looked to see where the flames came from as they see Endeavor was causing everything as he looked angry as he walked over to his 3 sons and then hit them on top of the head. 3 of you are late to get home. I know that you like your little scenic routes, but you could have at least sent a message to everyone in the family that you were going to be late. Your mother has been sending me non-stop messages worrying about the 3 of you, so you should have let her know what was going on. I had to leave work early because I had to come looking for you, so I came across this situation. Johto was rubbing the bump on his head. Why did you hit me? It's not like I started any of the fighting. It was actually I who caught the villain. Titan started to look down at the ground, realizing that he was at fault for everything. Sorry, I guess I let my eagerness to fight get the better of me. Izuku just got in front of both of them. The real person you should be mad at is me. We got caught up with a villain and All Might just showed up out of nowhere. And I was just escalating everything, which slowed us down, so if anybody should be getting punished, it should be me. All Might clapped his hands together, letting out a small wind pressure which caused the flame wall to fizzle out. I don't appreciate like the 4 of you talking like I'm not even here now. If you can excuse me, Endeavor, I need to arrest one of your sons for committing the crime of attacking a pro hero without any reason. Endeavor just turned around as he backhanded All Might, causing him to stumble back a little bit. You know, for someone who's supposed to be the symbol of peace, you sure like picking on children. My son was just defending another one of his siblings from being manhandled by people like you. You may think that I didn't see any of the act of what was going on here, but I was actually seeing everything from the beginning. The only reason I didn't interfere until now is because I wanted to see how things would play out. So why don't you just run along and send my agency all the police paperwork that you do every day? All Might was starting to get even more mad as he was clenching his fists, but when he looked around he noticed that they were really getting a crowd as he just grabbed onto the villain and dragged him away. Just know this, Endeavor, whenever he decides to turn around and betray you, I'll just tell you I told you so. They all watch All Might jump into the sky away with the villain as they just decided to look at each other, wondering what they should do now as Endeavor whoever was walking with the boys home. Seriously, next time when you decide to take the scenic route, please text your mother so she's not freaking out wondering where you all are at. Izuku felt bad not wanting his mother to worry about him. If you don't mind me asking, are those text messages like she's worried for our safety, or she's worried that we're doing something stupid and she's going to be mad at us when we get home? Titan started to get a chill down his spine remembering the last time that they upset mother. I hope she's not mad. She's terrifying. I'd rather deal with the worst villains than when mom is angry. Endeavor quickly pulled out his cell phone as he actually went through the text messages, realizing that she went quickly from worrying to freaking out within a matter of 10 minutes as he put his phone back in his pocket. All I can say is to make sure that you compliment your mother and tell her that she looks nice and ask her about her day, and maybe she won't ground you for the first 3 days of summer vacation. 4 of them finally got home as Endeavor got a bad feeling as he actually went to the back of the group not wanting to be the first person to open the door. Shoto noticed that as he started to slow down his own pace. Titan was the next to notice it as he slowed down his pace as they noticed that Izuku was the first person at the door getting ready to open it. Izuku started to get a bad feeling as he opened the door only to get kicked in the face and then Mina jumped right on top of him. You idiot, you had me worried sick. The 3 of you left school so fast I thought you got caught up in something again. When I arrived here and your mother was the only one home, why didn't you wait for me? Izuku just rubbed his face wishing that he had better reflexes when it came to these situations. I had a bad day at school dealing with my former sister, so I was gonna go for a walk by myself, but basically these guys wouldn't leave me alone. Mina was still upset as she sat down right on top of Izuku's chest. According to your mother, you also had an encounter with All Might. Would you care to explain to me why that happened? Ray came out of the house as she picked up Mina. That's enough. I'm sure the boys have already gotten a lecture from their father. Getting angry with him will only make the situation between the both of you even worse. Mina was struggling trying to get out of Ray's grip. You're too lenient with him. He continues to leave me behind at school every day. Even Shinso was starting to get annoyed with them leaving him behind. Izuku got back onto his feet as he started to brush off the dirt. I started doing that to the both of you so you would both be a lot more safe instead of society pointing daggers at you. Izuku walked into the house keeping a blank expression on his face only for Ray to let go of Mina who was about to jump on him, only to see a fist come out of nowhere and punch Izuku right across the face, making him hit up against the wall of the house. Everyone sees Shinso with an angry look on his face. You had no right to throw us away. We've been by your side all these years. Only because of a few months of bad publicity you've started to make some distance between us. Me, your right hand man from the beginning. Did me sitting down there in that fight club right beside you mean nothing? Risked my life knowing that you would bring us home safe, so unless you can justify your actions any further besides just trying to protect us, I'm going to beat some sense into you, letting you know that I'm not going anywhere. Izuku was surprised as he just leaned up against the wall. I just wanted the both of you to be happy. I started to see how people were looking at the both of you. Some people see you as redeemable, so I thought if I started putting some distance between us that you would be able to go back to your normal lives. And yes, I would be sad no longer being able to stand next to the 2 people who were originally there for me in my darkest hour, but I'd rather see the both of you happy than anything else. Mina started to cry as she just walked over and gave Izuku a tight hug. You're a fool. Just because your quirk tells you to hold on to the burden of the entire world and not allow anybody to share it with doesn't mean you have to listen. We're your friends and family. We want to see you smile again. It's been 2 years since you had a sincere smile on your face. You also can't allow your sister to continue to haunt you, so please let us back into your life so we can help you again. Izuku just stood up fully as he held on to Mina in his arms as he looked around at everyone, getting those glares that they really wanted to help him. Are you sure? Because once you fully commit to this, there's no going back. You'll be fighting against society alongside me. Mina leaned back as she looked into Izuku's eyes as she just gave him a quick kiss. We've been dating for over 4 years. I've seen you at your most vulnerable and when you've been willing to give up on everything. You can't get rid of me that easily. We're just going to dance through the entire war. Shinso grinned as he wrapped his arm around the both of them and playfully choked them a bit. Think you gotta do something to make sure that you can never get rid of us. It's time for you to finally give out those quirks that you promised. Endeavor spoke up as he started to motion his hands for everybody to go inside with this. I agree, but I feel like we should be sitting down in the living room where we can be safe so no one can overhear our conversation because I feel like we're being watched right now. Shoto walked over to the 3 of them and just pushed them towards the living room so everybody else can get inside. You better have something cool for me, bro, because if you give me a lame quirk, I'm going to hit you over the head with an ice hammer. Everybody finally got inside as they sat down in the living room. Izuku was thinking, going over all of his catalog of quirks that he collected over the years as he was finally ready to distribute them out. Alright, I think I'm going to start with you, Titan. Titan just stayed in his chair as he started to shake his head. I appreciate it, but I don't want any other quirks than the ones I was designed with. I was already powerful enough as it is. Izuku just nodded as he understood. Alright, then you'll be going first, Shinso. I have a special combination I've been wanting to give you to make make you the perfect interrogation hero, but also the greatest combat hero I could think of. Shinso got excited as he stood in the middle of the room holding out his hand. I am truly ready to become your second in command again. Izuku smiled as he grabbed onto his friend's hand and started transferring the true quirks using all of the practice and experimentation that he's done throughout the years, making sure that this goes through perfectly. Well, I've given you muscle augmentation along with a special quirk that Overhaul found for me, which is called confession, which I'm mixing with your brainwashing quirk to make it completely perfect, so now only people have to hear your voice to fall underneath your trance, so make sure to train your mind, body, and soul so you can master it perfectly. Shinso felt a weird sensation throughout his body like he was completely changed. He then quickly but carefully sat down in the chair right behind him. You know, I thought I would actually feel a lot more pain, but what it did make me feel more alive. Izuku was a little bit worried about that statement. Be careful, don't let the power consume you, because if it does, it's going to turn you into one of those creatures from the failed experiment, and may their souls haunt me for all my failures. Endeavor slammed his arm on the armrest, stopping that entire conversation. Don't go there, you did everything you could for those people who willingly gave their lives for the research that we have now. You've done more good than harm. Look at the positives, not the negatives. You can't keep on letting the negatives personally get into your head. Izuku kept on thinking about it as he looked around, starting to feel a little bit of positivity he used to have as he took a deep breath and was ready to continue. Alright Mina, it's your turn. I have 2 special quirks for you. Mina stepped forward as she was ready. More than anything, she wanted this because she knew that no matter what, she could finally stand by his side, not worried about being left behind as she held out her hand to him. I want this more than anything. I can't wait to show you the new dance moves I come up with these new skills. Izuku was blown back, not expecting her words, as he grabbed onto her hand and smiled a genuine smile and transferred the quirks. I look forward to seeing your new performance. The first quirk I'm giving you is a sludge quirk that I just got off of somebody that allows you to change your form into liquid sludge. I don't know its full capabilities because I just got it, but I bet you'll be able to figure it out soon. The second one I'm giving you is called Connect the Dots. I got it pretty early on, so you'll be able to use it as long as you're able to set up the 2 pinpoints perfectly. And thank you for everything, Mina. Mina was surprised, not understanding what she was being thanked for. Why are you thanking me? You just gave me a gift. I should be thanking you. Izuku was almost hesitant, not wanting to tell her the reason why he actually felt the way he does, so he just said it anyway. Because if it wasn't for your positivity through the grimmest times, I think I would have been swallowed up by my own despair. Sometimes I just hate myself and wonder what I've been fighting for is a lie, but you've proven to me along with everybody else here that it wasn't. Shoto stood up as he started to clap his hands together. That's it, bro. Smile with all of us. Let it all out. You've been so serious lately that I thought that you were going to be stuck that way forever. I seriously thought for a while that we lost your kind and gentle side during that quirk enhancement experiment. I'm glad to see that we're able to bring you back from the darkness, but don't you think it's my turn? You've made me wait long enough. Everyone just started laughing, realizing that the moment was kind of ruined but also changed at the same time. As the both of them shook hands, letting the 2 quirks that he was giving him be transferred, Izuku just grinned with pride. Continue to be one of my bright pillars of light, bro. You should also thank Chronostasis for finding these for me. They allow you to now manipulate the wind and the earth around you. 4 elements are now within your hands. Control them with pride and justice. Johto felt a little bit weird as he got a completely different form of sense of the world as he fell onto his butt from getting so dizzy. This is going to take some getting used to. He smiled, excited knowing that it's been a couple of months since she's seen all of them together acting so happy with one another. Well, now that everybody's taken care of, why don't we get dinner ready so we can party tonight and celebrate graduation and your 10 months of training before getting into UA. But that's where I'm going to leave it off this time, guys. I hope you're going to enjoy the video. I'm sorry it took so long. I've had some doctor's appointment and medical issues, but with all that said, I'm out. Peace.